Hello students, in this video we are going to talk about IUPAC name of substituted benzenes. So this is a topic from the chapter General Organic Chemistry picked up from CBSE level. This topic is also helpful for your exam preparation like mains and NEET and any other competitive. Let's get started. IUPAC nomenclature is a way of naming organic molecules in systematic and scientific manner, and we know that. In the syllabus of CBSE 11, we study this IUPAC nomenclature for two types of molecules. The first one is aliphatic molecule, which are nothing but the open chain organic molecules. And the second one is benzenes and substituted benzenes. Benzene and substituted benzene together, I'm writing it as benzenoids. So the second segment is when you name a benzenoid according to the rules of IUPAC. When you're naming an aliphatic organic molecule according to IUPAC rules, you know that there are four components that are possible for a name. The first one is prefix followed by root word, and then is primary suffix, and then is secondary suffix. So you get to see these four components when you're naming aliphatic organic molecule according to IUPAC. But when it comes to benzenoid, it is a different story altogether. You won't get to see these four components. You won't follow all the rules that you have learned over here. So you would have to study about the benzenoid nomenclature in a slightly different manner. So over here, while you name benzenoids, there are two segments again. The first one is, what kind of benzenoids are you naming? Are you naming mono-substituted benzenes or di-substituted benzenes? So first of all, benzenoids are nothing but substituted benzenes, right? We are talking about substituted benzenes over here. So how many substituents do you have on the benzene ring? If you have one substituent, you call it as mono-substituted benzene. If you have two substituents, you call it as di-substituted benzene. So mono-substituted benzenes and di-substituted benzenes have got two different set of rules to be learned. So we would have to be learning both of them in detail. So let's get started with the first one, mono-substituted benzene. While you're naming mono-substituted benzene, there are just two things that you need to keep in mind. The very first thing, you can consider this as steps. There are only two steps that you have to consider. The very first step is, in order to name a mono-substituted benzene, first of all, you observe the molecule that you're talking about. You observe the molecule and you observe what is the molecule made up of. Since you're talking about substituted benzene, the molecule definitely will contain a benzene ring. But along with benzene ring, there will be an extra stuff, right? There will be an extra substituent that you're talking about. So this extra substituent that you are talking about is what? Is this a functional group or is this a side chain? So you need to identify that. And after you identify, the second step that you have to take is writing the name. The IUPAC name of mono-substituted benzenoid will have only two components. Component number one is prefix and component number two is the term benzene itself. So this term benzene is fixed component. You're not going to change it. You will be writing whatever is needed in prefix. So if this extra substituent that you have here is a functional group, write the prefix name of the functional group here. If it is a side chain, write the name of the side chain in prefix. To understand the scenario better, let's take the next page and let us continue the discussion with the help of an example. I'm talking about how to name mono-substituted benzenes. So since I'm talking about mono-substituted benzene, I would have to take two steps in order to name it. Step one, I would have to identify the composition of this molecule. I would have to check along with benzene ring, what else do I have? Whatever extra part I have, whatever substituent that I have, I would have to observe it. When I observe, I need to make sure I identify if this substituent is a side chain, if this is an alkyl side chain or aryl side chain, or if this is a functional group altogether. If it is side chain, what all kinds of side chain do we get to see? We get to see CH3 side chain in most common cases, and the prefix name of CH3 side chain is methyl. And then C2H5 is another side chain that we possibly get to see, and this is called as ethyl. And similarly, you have any alkyl side chain, you can name it according to the number of carbon atoms. You have any aryl side chain, you can name it according to the number of carbon atoms and the name of the ring. So if you're having side chain as substituent, this is the prefix that you will be writing. What if you are having a functional group? If you're having a functional group, then write the prefix name. For example, OH is the functional group. Prefix name of OH is hydroxy. And if you're having a halogen as a functional group, the prefix name of halogen is halo. If it is chlorine, chloro, fluorine, fluoro, bromine, bromo, iodine, iodo. And if you are having a CHO, aldehyde group as a functional group, the prefix name of aldehyde is formyl. And in case you are having NH2 as a functional group, NH2's prefix name is amino. So this way, whatever the functional group is, write its prefix name. This is step 1. Observing the molecule, identifying the composition of the substituent and naming or writing the prefix name of that substituent, whatever it is. If it is side chain or functional group, write the prefix name. After you're done with step 1, go to step 2. What is step 2? Step 2 is writing the IUPAC name, and there are only 2 components in IUPAC name of a monosubstituted benzene. Component number 1 is prefix and component number 2 is the term benzene. So benzene is a fixed component and you're not going to change it. Then what would you be changing? You would be changing the term prefix. So for example, if I'm talking about this molecule, I have benzene with 1 chlorine. So as a first step, I observe the composition. This is benzene ring, and along with benzene ring, what do I have? I have Cl. Cl is a functional group. And what is the prefix name of this chlorine functional group? The prefix name is chloro. So in place of this prefix, I have to write chloro plus benzene. The term benzene remains as it is. And when I merge them according to the rules of IUPAC, I would write it as chlorobenzene. So this molecule can be named as chlorobenzene. Similarly, if you're talking about this, you're talking about benzene with a CH3 group. Then how do we name this? Follow the rules. Rule 1. Identify the molecule. Other than benzene, what do you have? You are having CH3. What is CH3? It's a side chain. What is the name of this side chain? 1 carbon side chain. So you call it as methyl. So methyl side chain is what you have. And come back to the step 2. In step 2, you have to write whatever is the name of the function group or side chain in place of prefix. So I'll write it here. It is methyl plus benzene. And when I merge both of them, I call this molecule as methyl benzene. So similarly, according to whatever is the side chain or functional group, you just have to write the name of that side chain in prefix part. And you try this example, benzene with OH group. According to step 1, you are having OH group extra. Prefix name of OH group is hydroxy. So this molecule is hydroxybenzene. And if you are having benzene with C2H5, how do we name this? Extra group over here is C2H5, which is ethyl. So this is called ethyl benzene. So this is how we name monosubstituted benzenes using 2 simple steps. I hope this point is clear with all of you. In case of any doubts, please ask me your doubts in the comment section below. All right. So over here, we are moving on with nomenclature of disubstituted benzene. In order to name monosubstituted benzene, we had to follow these 2 steps, and it was very easy. Now we are talking about naming disubstituted benzene. And in order to name disubstituted benzene, it's 3 steps. It's not 1 step, it is 3 steps, of which step 1, again, identify the molecule. And when you identify the molecule, okay, what shall we do is let's take a fresh page because it looks pretty congested over here. So I'm talking about disubstituted benzenes and their nomenclature. And in case of this disubstituted benzenes, we would have to follow 3 steps. Step 1, you have to observe the molecule. Identify what is the composition. Since you are talking about disubstituted benzenes, benzene is going to be there for any reason, right? And along with benzene, you'll be having substituent 1, substituent 2. Why? You're talking about disubstituted benzene, right? 2 substituents will be there. So substituent 1, substituent 2. And after you identify it, identify what is substituent 1, identify what is substituent 2. Identify if they are a side chain or if they are a functional group. Both of them can be functional groups, both of them can be side chains, or one can be functional group, one can be side chain. Any combination is possible and it doesn't matter. Let it be whatever, it's okay. So after you identify, name the side chains and name the functional groups according to their prefix names. If it is CH3, you call it as methyl, C2H5, you call it as ethyl, and according to the composition of the functional group, you give the prefix name. This is step 1. And move to step 2. What do we do in step 2? In step 2, you would have to learn how to number. how to number the carbon atoms of the benzene ring, the carbon atoms of benzene ring. Back then, in case of mono-substituted benzene, we did not need to number the carbon atoms. Why? Because basically in benzene, all the carbons are equal. So when you want to number them, you can number as you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in clockwise, anti-clockwise. You can start from left and right and wherever. But only one rule is the numbering should happen in continuity. That is the only rule. But when it comes to mono-substituted benzene, one of the carbon atoms will be having a side chain or substituent. So according to IUPAC rules, if you have a carbon with a side chain or substituent, it's important you start numbering from there, or you give that carbon the least possible value. Right. Over here, because this carbon is having CH3 group, you're starting to number from here. Now you can go clockwise or anti-clockwise. That is up to you. But now that you're talking about disubstituted benzene like this, where will you start numbering from? Should we start numbering from the carbon containing the first methyl group or from the carbon containing the second methyl group? If you start from either of the places, should you go clockwise or should you go anti-clockwise? There are so many possibilities for disubstituted benzenes. That is why we are learning how to name disubstituted benzenes over here. Alright, sorry, how to number disubstituted benzenes over here. So in order to number disubstituted benzenes, there are a few points that you need to remember. Point number 1, when you're numbering disubstituted benzenes, there are two possibilities. Possibility number 1, both the substituents can be same. Both the substituents can be same. If both of them are same, you can start numbering from anywhere. Does not matter. Number from any of the substituents that you have. For example, here substituent 1, substituent 2, both of them are same. Say for example, I start numbering from here, follow the rule of IUPAC, the lowest number rule, and give this carbon containing second substituent least possible value after 1. So I go ahead in this way. Otherwise, if I want to start numbering from other carbon atom, from this carbon atom, then I'll give the second carbon containing substituent least possible value after this, and I continue numbering in this way. So when both the substituents are same to same, it doesn't really matter from where are you starting to number. You can start from anywhere. So this is not at all a problem. This is not a point of question at all. The point of question is when both the substituents are different. When both the substituents are different, that's when you have to pay attention and learn how to number. Let me give you an example here. Here is a CH3 group, and on other hand, over here, I am having a bromine group. So now out of these two, which one should I prefer? Where should I start numbering from? Should I start numbering from this carbon containing methyl group or this carbon containing bromine? In this case, you have to follow alphabetical order. So the methyl group starts with M, bromine starts with B. So B comes first. So start numbering from bromine. And number in such a way that the second carbon containing substituent will get the least possible value assigned. So 3, 4, 5, 6. This is how we go on. Numbering carbon atoms on benzene in case of disubstituted benzene is possible only when you have both the substituents being different. When you have both the substituents being different, check the alphabetical order of both the substituents and start numbering in such a way that the alphabetical order is followed. The carbon containing the first substituent gets the first priority, you'll number it as 1, and the carbon containing the second substituent will be given the least possible number and you'll follow with the sequence. So this is the second step. In order to name the disubstituted benzenes, you have to first observe the molecule and its composition, give the prefix names, followed by number the carbon atoms of benzene according to the rules that you have learned. And then you will be going ahead with rule number 3 or step number 3 rather. In step number 3, you would have to write the structure of the IUPAC name. So you will first talk about the position of the side chains or substituents or functional groups that are present. Followed by you will be writing the prefix, and after that you will be writing the term benzene. Even here the benzene term is a fixed component, you will not change it. The prefixes is what you have to fill up and the positions is what you have to fill up. And as you know, position is a number, and always between a number and a prefix there needs to be a hyphen. So let us try this nomenclature with the help of examples in the next page. Let us get started with one molecule which looks like this. You have a benzene and you have got a bromine here, you have got a bromine here. This is a disubstituted benzene, and in order to name disubstituted benzenes, there are 3 steps. Step 1, observe the molecule and its formula. So I have got benzene ring, and along with benzene ring, I have got the first substituent being bromine and the second substituent also being bromine. So now this bromine is a functional group and the prefix name of this bromine is bromo. And this also is bromo. And benzene term is going to remain anyway. So I observe the molecule and I'm ready with the prefix names. I'll move to step 2. In step 2, I should talk about numbering. But when I look at both the substituents are same. When both of them are same, I don't need to worry about numbering. I'll start from either of the carbons containing substituent and move in such a way that the lowest number rule is followed. So on the first carbon atom, I have the first bromine, and on the second carbon atom, I have the second bromine. And according to the same rules of IUPAC, when both the substituents are same, you don't need to write them 2 times like this. 1 bromo, 2 bromo, 3 bromo. You don't need to write like this. You can write them as dibromo. You can prefix the word di, tri, tetra, penta when you have same substituents on the molecule. So it is basically dibromo. And where do you have this both the bromo groups? One is on the first carbon, the other one is on the second carbon. So it is 1, 2 dibromo. So in second step, I have numbered the carbon atoms and I have identified the position of these substituents. And I'll move on to third step where I have to construct the IUPAC name. There are 3 parts in it. One is position. The position is 1, 2. The second one is prefix, which is dibromo. And the third one is the term benzene itself, which is fixed, which does not change. So this molecule is called 1, 2 dibromo benzene. I hope you could understand how did we name this. Let us take one more example of a disubstituted benzene wherein you are having 2 different substituents and we will talk about it. Here is another example. Let us follow the same 3 steps. Step 1, identify the formula. I have benzene, then I have got a bromine functional group and alongside I also have a methyl side chain. And then what is the name of this bromine in prefix please? It has to be called bromo. Methyl is called same. It is called methyl itself. And step 2. In step 2, I would have to talk about numbering. Bromine B comes first than methyl. So I'll start numbering from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has to be 1 bromo followed by 4 methyl. And because both the substituents are not same, I can't write di, tri, tetra kind of prefixes over here. It has to remain as it is. I'll move to step 3. And in step 3, I'll construct the IUPAC name. The position comes first, find 1. Followed by the prefix of the substituents, but I have 2 substituents of different types over here, which should come first. You would have to go alphabetical in arranging them, so you call it as 1 bromo first. After that, you'll call it as 4 methyl, and then comes the term benzene. So here you go, benzene. You have to call it as 1 bromo 4 methyl benzene. So this molecule is 1 bromo 4 methyl benzene. So to go back for a quick summary, we are talking about IUPAC nomenclature of organic molecules, which can be of 2 types. If it is aliphatic, here are 4 components of IUPAC. But if it is benzene or substituted benzene, these are the rules that you need to follow. When you're talking about substituted benzenes, it can be monosubstituted benzene or disubstituted benzene. If it is monosubstituted benzene, follow these 2 steps. It will work. If it is disubstituted benzene, you have to follow 3 steps. 1, observe the molecular composition. Then step 2, you have to give the numbering to the carbon atoms. And then 3, you have to construct the IUPAC name, which is position first, followed by prefix, followed by the term benzene. Following these 3 steps, you will be able to write the name. This is how we name the benzenoids. I hope you have understood whatever have happened in this video. In case of any doubts, ask me in the comment section below. Also, please make sure you go through NCERT for the same topic for identifying more examples. I'll see you in one other video. Until then, bye.